Today, we are here to answer the million-dollar question, what do women want? If you are here for the short answer, I have one for you. It's the wildish man, the wild man. The best answer, though, is in a story that replies to the age-old question about women's true nature. And Clarissa said something about that. She said that those who endeavor in the ways and means shown in the story shall be lover and mate to the wildish woman forever. So take a seat, grab your popcorn, and let's go for a ride. This is Manawee. There was a man who was very interested in two sisters. They are twins, and he came to court them. But the father was around, and his own price, like in my own country, the way we do bride price. If you want to marry my daughter, you bring this price. No, that's not what the father said. The father said, you cannot cut my daughters until or unless you can guess their names. That was the father's condition. Manawee guessed and guessed and guessed. Is it Lagbaja and Tamedu? Is it Sikiratu and Sindodo? No. Is it Yin and Yang? No. Or is it the sun and the moon? No. Well, he guessed and guessed and guessed. He could not guess their names. So the young women's father shook his head and sent Manawee on his way, time and time again. So one day, Manawee took his dog on another guessing visit. The dog saw that one sister was sweeter than the other and one was prettier than the other. And though the two sisters do not possess all of the virtues, like each of them just had their own virtues, the dog liked them very much because they gave him treat, food, and smiled into his eyes. You know how dogs are, right? And Manawee failed to guess their names this time, and well, he left. But the little dog ran back to their house, to the women's house. The dog put his ears to the wall and heard how the two sisters were giggling and talking about how handsome and manly Manawee was. And while these two sisters were giggling and speaking, they mentioned their names. For example, let's just say their names are like Day and Night. Oh, Day, do you see how handsome Manawee is? And Night replied, oh, yes, Manawee is so nice and he's so manly. So the dog heard how, they were discussing and mentioning their names. So he got their names and he started running home to Manawee. But on his way home, a lion had dropped a big bone on his path to his house. And well, it's a dog. So the dog stayed and was like licking the bone until all the flavor was off the bone. And it remembered, damn, I can't remember the names anymore. He ran back to the two sisters' house again, but this time it was already night. And he put his ears to the wall the second time and he was hearing how, they were oiling each other, preparing for celebration, and they were calling each other's names. The dog was like, yep, I got it. I will not forget this time. Started running back home. On the way back to its house, this dog was smelling something like nutmeg from the bush. And well, again, it's a dog. So he just left the road and went into the bush. That after waiting they saw for waiting they smell, and the dog saw pie. You know what to do. The dog ate the pie. By the time the dog was done, the names had evaporated. So finally, the dog reached this young woman's house again and put his ear to the wall. And they were speaking, and he discovered that the celebration that they were preparing themselves for, they were preparing themselves to be married. Ha! Time is up. There is no time. These people are about to get married. So he got their name this time, put it in its mind, and started running home again because this is the last chance. As the dog was going, he saw a fresh kill on the way. The dog ignored it. Not this time. Get behind me, you devil. Started going again. Smelt nutmeg again. Not this time. Started going. What the dog did not prepare for, though, is a dark stranger jumping out of the bush. The dark stranger held the dog's neck and was shaking it. Give me those names so I can go and win those women for myself. Give me those fucking names. The dog fought, the dog scratched, barked, did everything, fought bravely, and refused to give the stranger the names. And the dog had to bite this stranger. The stranger was like, oh, okay, I don't hear you. Leave me alone so that I will leave you alone. The dog left it, and the dog warned the stranger, if you come back here, you will not see morning again. The stranger dropped the dog and ran away. And the dog was going on, half crawling, half running, because time is almost up, and these women are preparing to get married. If it's not my master and to woo, so the dog was struggling. I have to get him. And the dog tried to remember too. I still remember these names. Yes, I still remember. So the dog got home, jumped on Manawee. Oh, master, I have I have found the names. I found out the names of the young women, and also told Manawee the entire story of what happened on the way. And Manawee picked up the dog, cleaned the dog's wound, and they both got out of the house on their way to the young women's house. Manawee got to the young women's house, met their father, and told their father the names. The twin sister came out, already dressed. They already have their wedding gown on and their makeup on. Apparently, they've been waiting for him all along. So the preparation they were doing was all for him. And that is how Manawee won the most beautiful sisters in Riverland. And both the dog, the father, Manawee, and the two sisters lived happily ever after. And that is the end of the story. Welcome back. Well, what does this story mean? This story is hiding two things. Number one, the answer to what do women want? And number two, how to find love. Number 2B, how to win the wildish woman's heart. To win the wild woman's heart, I made us to understand our natural duality. This story points to two powerful feminine forces in a woman. So let us break down what each element of the story, what they mean. Let's get right into it. So what do the twin sisters actually represent? In one word, the twin sisters mean a woman. It means the two feminine forces in a woman. But let's break that down. Clarissa is saying that every woman carries two selves within her. There is the outer self, the one the world sees. She's practical, she's social, she is adapted to the culture around her. Basically, she's the version of you that has learned how to function in this world. Then there's the second self, the inner self. Clarissa calls this the creatora. This is the you that travels from the depths. She's the part of you that feels things before you even understand what they mean or what they are. And she always leaves a feeling behind, a feeling of knowing, of originality, of authenticity. It's the part that surfaces in art, in dreams, in things that you create. But there's a problem here. The world always seems to favor one part of you. There is no valid one. There's no, oh, the better one. They are both equally important. They are both equally valid. But somehow the world seems to prefer one, seem to want you to always show up as one, to be the pragmatic one or be the intuitive one, to be the logical one, or to be the one that feels. Clarissa said when a woman hides one part of herself or values one part over the other, she lives a lopsided life. And that doesn't give her access to her entire power. This is the critical thing. You cannot hide one of them indefinitely. You cannot decide to be the pragmatic, easygoing part of you and hide the wild self indefinitely. What happens when you do that is that the wild self will eventually come out, but at a time that you do not plan for, at a time where you will not even be able to explain what has happened, and then you leave everyone confused. The gap between the two selves leaves the kind of problem that we addressed in episode 1. Now, if you don't know what problem we addressed, you're going to need to watch it so you can understand what we are saying. The loss of a woman's psychological, creative, emotional, and spiritual power comes from separating these two selves and pretending as if one doesn't exist. Both of them need to be fed. Both of them need to be known, and they need to be known to the potential mate, the potential partner as well. We have come to the part where Clarissa named the power of two. She told a story in this chapter. She said there was a man that was dying. He called his people, his sons, his people to himself and gave them a short, sturdy stick and told them, break it. And then they broke the stick into half without much effort. He said, this is how it is for a soul. When it is alone, it is easily broken. Then he gave each person sticks again and then instructed them to put those sticks that he gave them individually, put them together. They did so and then instructed them to break the sticks. They couldn't break the sticks. He said to them, this is how we are when we are together. When we stand with another soul, we cannot be broken. And this is what the duality does for a woman. The civilized self alone is alone and lonely. The wild self alone, equally lonely, but together they are strong and they're powerful and they cannot be broken. Clarissa says each side of a woman's nature has its own function and knowledge. It's like the brain that has like two hemispheres. They are two, but they are one. Do you understand? They each have their own use, but separate them and, well, they cease to be brain. Favor one side of the brain, separate one side, and probably you would only be able to move your hands and not be able to digest your food. Say for the other side, maybe you will be able to digest your food, but can't move your body, move your hands or your legs. That is how the dual self is for a woman. When these two sides are together, a woman gains an uncanny power that cannot be broken. Even Manawee himself has two sides, him and his dog. His human sweetness with all of his handsomeness could not win the women to himself. It took his dog, his instinctual self, to be able to get what it takes to actually win the women. Now let's get into Manawee a little bit. There are masculine forces that represent different things across several fairy tales. There is Bluebeard. Remember Bluebeard? We did that in one episode. That is an harmful masculine force. And there is a Mr. Fox energy also, the corny, up to no good masculine force. Clarissa says these are the kind of men, the kind of masculine forces that cannot stand a woman's duality. These are the kind of men you need to avoid. These are the suitors that you need to avoid. These are the kind of men you as a man do not want to be. The kind of man that only wants a never changing, perfect woman. One neat answer, one simple answer. If you ever see this kind of man, Clarissa said so in her book, I am saying it again. If you ever see this kind of man or ever meet this kind of man, run for your life. Clarissa says that you are better off with a Manawee kind of man. He cuts the two, he dates the two, not to own them or not to harm them, but to name them and keep returning to them. Even inside a woman's psyche, there are masculine forces. Animals like Jung call them. There's the Manawee type of masculine force, the one that is curious about the two instead of being disgusted by it. Manawee, whether inside or outside world, is the type of lover that wants to learn the dual needs and respect them. That is the ideal lover for us as a woman. And if you have been thrown off by the word wild, that means you have not watched the previous episodes. You should do that so you can understand. If you want an explanation as to what it means to be a wild woman, you're going to need to go to the previous episodes to check that. Thank you. Now, the names. Why the names? Why is the young women's father hell-bent on Manawee knowing their names? Let's get into that. In many cultures, to know a person's true name is to know their soul. Even in these cultures, these names are hidden not out of secrecy, but to protect the owner of said names. Because whoever knows these names have access to you. And this is why Manawee has to know the names, and this is why he couldn't get the names. His mundane self could not get the names. No amount of showing up at the door and trying his luck gets him to know the names, because the names cannot be guessed, they need to be heard. And how would you hear the names? You would require your instinctive self, the self that has the ability to get low, get close, look past and beyond what is being said. And that is what the dog does. He creeps, he listens. And as women, we often crave a partner, a man, or a woman who has this ability, this endurance, and this wit to understand our deep nature. The kind of man she doesn't have to constantly translate her soul to. The kind of man that is not wearing weaponized incompetence as armor. A kind of man that she doesn't have to micromanage and explain everything to. Manawee is interested in naming them. Manawee is interested in knowing them, not just to conquer them, to really, really know them and how it can show up. And this is very important. The right person, Manawee, does not need to be taught. You see that the sisters did not say, okay, so what you will do is maybe when we are dating, you will come and peep. So it will not look like we are the one that told you the name. So our father will not think that way we are the one that told you the name. The right man, the wild man, does not need to be taught. He sends his instinctual self to do the listening. Keyword, listening. I hope you have your pen and paper with you in case somebody else is thinking to publish another book about what a woman wants and then he ends up being empty. Just know that that is weaponizing competence, because I am telling you right here. This is the kind of man a woman will give her lifelong love and loyalty to, because he genuinely wants to know. He hungrily wants to know, not to gain an equal power or some sort of power over her, just genuine knowledge and understanding. Now, what does the father represent in that story? Remember that the father was the one that kept sending Manawee back when he couldn't guess the twins' names. So what does the father stand for? Clarissa says the father is symbolic of an inner feature that keeps things whole and prevents splitting. He also tests the sweeter's worthiness. A healthy psyche tests new things before letting them in. It doesn't just accept any thoughts, any attitude, or just any person. It only accepts things that prioritize growth, things that are genuine, things that are authentic. You cannot just understand a woman or a psyche by just asking once. So, what kind of man do you like? What kind of man do you want? That's a silly question. You have to do the work. You have to stick with it. So when you as a man say, oh, I want a woman that will love me, I want a woman that will understand me, I want a woman that I can grow up with, know that you will have to put in the work. I cannot make this up. A psychoanalyst said it, not me. Now let's talk about the dog. Let's give a whole section to the dog because the dog is very important in this story. Dogs represent, among other things, he or she that loves from the heart, easily and long, who forgives effortlessly, who can run long and fight if necessary. The dog nature gives us a clue as to how a partner, a mate, will win the heart of the wild woman, the heart of the twin sisters. And the main clue is keep returning. Why is Manawee's instinctual self represented as dog? Clarissa told us about a science museum that she went to in San Francisco that has a room that simulates a dog's hearing. In that room, a palm tree waving sounds like Armageddon. That is what a dog can hear. Footsteps from afar sounds like a million sacks of cornflakes. That is what a dog can hear, which means there's shit ton of things that dogs hear that we cannot hear. So the dog in this story represents the part of us, the part of a partner that operates below the surface of logic, the part that feels into things, the part that doesn't need or waits for explanation of how things are before it understands. This is what instinct does. It picks up on frequencies that a rational mind dismisses completely. That is what Manawee's dog does. In this part of the story, the dog gets distracted. First by a bone, then by a fresh cue, then by a pie. Remember those distractions. Let's talk about them. I think this part is so honest about how even the most well-meaning people, even the most genuinely trying partners, get pulled off course. Not because they are malicious, but because they are also human. They have appetites, they have distractions, things that feel urgent in the moment that get them off course. Clarissa says the bone is waiting for all of us on the road, one that has cost us and will continue to cost us if care is not taken. But that's the thing, even if we fail, we need to continue to get back on track. We need to try again and again until we can pass it and get back to our primary work like the dog did. She also gave us this incredible analogy. She said the momentum of deep psychological work is like sexual arousal. I don't know if you DJ, if you're one of those that DJ. If you are in the process of DJing, you start from ground zero and then you continue to build up. If at any point in time there is a distraction, maybe a call came in through your phone or somebody made a sound, yeah, you have to start from the beginning again, no matter where you have gotten to, till you get to orgasm. That is how it is when you're doing deep psychological work, which means that persistence is not an option. You have to keep doing it. Even when you are distracted, you get back to it and you keep doing it. Persistence is the whole point because everybody have in their psyche this natural opposer. Anytime you're distracted, remember the real work and get back to it. Rinse and repeat until you get the work done. That is what the dog did. That is what that tenacious dog did. That is the real work. Now, in this part of the story, the dog has learned to ignore the distractions on the road and it is heading home to Manawee. In this part, the instinctive psyche has learned to curb its excesses. It has learned to prioritize and focus. But then remember what happened? Even after the dog has ignored all the distractions, a dark stranger came and began to like shake it. You've got to give me those names right now. And you notice that the stranger is not just asking the names because, well, obviously the stranger is a bad person, but he's asking the names not to know the names, but to go possess the women. This kind of dark stranger can be somebody in your life, someone who wants access to your person for their own benefits, for their selfish reasons, someone who mistakes vulnerability as a means to exploit. That is who the dark stranger stands for. But the dark stranger is not just about people you know real life. It can also be internal. It's that part of you that tells you that your wild self is the problem. Your depth is problematic. You want too much. You are not realistic about how the world is. You're requesting for things that do not exist. You should only be that part of you that is acceptable to other people. Those voices inside of you, that is also that dark stranger also stands for that dark stranger. But you see that the dog fights. The dog fights the stranger tooth and nail, and that is exactly what you need to do. You need to fight and hold on to what is dear to you. You need to fight and hold on to all that you have worked for. You need to fight to be serious about your work. You need to fight to look past shallow spiritual motives and hold on to real deep knowledge and finish what you have started. Knowledge about the wild feminine holds much power, and Manawee's dog made sure to fight to keep it, made sure to not give the names to the wrong person in the wrong hands, and made sure to deliver it to who was worthy of it. Giving the names to the right person is just as important as finding the name. So what is all of this saying? You as a woman, number one, you need to be careful of who you bear yourself to. Number two, you need to wait for the person that genuinely want to know those names, that genuinely wants to know you, the true part of yourself. You need to wait for those that want to listen and learn it, not those that are, oh, what do you want in a man? 7 out of 10, they just want to act it out and get you until it is too late for you to leave, or until it has cost you something before you leave. And for you as a man, if you have found your wild woman, yes, there will be distractions. Yes, there will be things that will get in your part to knowing those names. But it is up to you to be persistent. It is up to you to fight for what you truly want. And that is also speaking to a woman. A man that is not fighting, that he thinks you are too much, is just absolutely not for you. He's not willing to do the work because he thinks you are not worth the work. And you as a man, if you don't think the woman is worth fighting for, you don't want the woman. But if you think that you will not fight at all, then you're not serious about finding love, finding a woman, or wanting a relationship. Next, sometimes as women, we are always cranky and angry. Why don't these men fucking know what they should do? Why do we always have to teach them? Clarissa gave us an answer in this place. Clarissa said, if you want a man that will get you, you're going to have to teach him. She said, the problem here is that we have been teaching the wrong people all along. You need to teach them about the wild self, because they have it as well. Not just your own wild self, but about their own wild self, and they need to discover it. The only problem is we've been teaching the wrong people, and I cannot help but agree that the right people that actually want to learn, want to know, they are very few. So it is what it is. But let's get back to what we are talking about. Clarissa said if a woman wants a partner to know a deeper self, she will teach a partner how to ask 2 key questions. They are deceptively simple, but they're not. What are the questions? Number 1, what do you want? And the second question, what does your deeper self desire? These questions forces one to look beneath the surface and investigate what the real problem is. The first question asks what the problem is. The second one forces you to look beneath the surface of that answer and look for the deeper meaning. What do you want addresses the culturally acceptable self. She might say, oh, I want to go to dinner. What does your deeper self want addresses the inner self, the wild self. I want to go to dinner in this level can easily translate to I have not felt seen by you in a long time. I want us to spend time together. I want you to spend time with me. You can see how I want to go to dinner can easily mean something else. And this is where men begin to say things. Oh, she said she wanted to go to dinner and I took her to dinner. However, when you went to dinner, you were just pressing phone, or well, you guys just ate and you went home because you failed to ask the deeper question. What does your deeper self actually want? You failed to be intuitive about what that could possibly mean. Does she want your attention? Does she want something else? Does she want you to spend time with her? Have you not been spending time with her? And vice versa, by the way. What do you want addresses the outer self, the pragmatic self. The answer to that could be, oh, I want to rest. I want to make something. I want to go to dinner. I want you to take me to dinner. And the wild self would want something completely different from what was said at the beginning. Something that doesn't fit into a sentence. I want to feel seen by you. I want to know if I still feel special to you. I want to know if I am special to you. A person who only ever asks the first question will never truly know you. Sure, they will know your schedule. They will know your preferences, but they will never know the deeper you. They will never know your depth. If you only take women at face value, you will never know when the wild self arises. A secure relationship asks both questions of both people. Pose the answer. From those answers, you learn what matters and how to respond. To love a woman is to learn, know, and love a dual nature. Men must name their own dual nature too. The best friend, the best lover, the best parents, the best partners are those that are willing to learn, are those that want to learn. Refusing to learn is how pain gets rooted. Finally, being the right partner is not being flashy or who can take who out the most or who can spend the most. It's kind of part of it, but that is not the most important part. It's about tenacity, it's about endurance, and it's about curiosity. It is sending your instinctual nature to go back again and again to listen for the names. To love is to understand, and that takes time. Now, we've gotten to the ending of the story. There's something at the end of the story that I think that you didn't notice, and it's like very lovely. When Manawee finally arrived with the names, I've gotten the names and delivered it to the father. Twin sisters were dressed and ready to go with him, ready to be married to him. They have been waiting for him all along. Now, this is not the waiting of women who do not have agency. This is the waiting of women who know their worth. This is what people mean when they say, oh, you don't go chasing a man. You don't go chasing a man. You let a man come get you. This is the waiting of women who have standards that refuse to be collected by people who cannot be bothered to know them. They were ready the whole time. The question is if it would do the work. So it's not about do such women exist. It's the question of can you do the work of getting the kind of woman you are hoping to get, you want. Can you do the work? And when he did, when his tenacious dog limped home with their names and gave it to him, they did not keep him waiting. They opened their doors and went with him ASAP. This is what it looks like when somebody has earned the right to know your names. This chapter is essentially asking, how much of yourself have you allowed to be known? How much of yourself have you hidden? Not because you don't want somebody to know, but you are not sure if there is someone that will be able to hold both of you. And equally, if you love someone, how much of them have you actually tried to know? The union with the other, this chapter has been able to show us the ideal partner and how they can get together, how they can meet. Above all, this chapter has been able, I hope, to answer the question of what do women want? But that is not the end. Clarissa ends this chapter with a warning, or maybe it's an invitation. She says that there's one more aspect to love, there's one more aspect to dual nature. She says that while one aspect of this entire thing we're talking about, of woman's nature, of relationship, can be called life, there's also the other aspect that is called death. And this aspect holds the answer to how to have a long-lasting relationship. Two people growing old together. This other side holds the answer of how to have a long life union after you found the right partner. This brings us to episode 6, which is the chapter 5 of Women Who Run with the Wolves. It is called Skeleton Woman, and this is going to be something. So if you haven't subscribed yet, you absolutely should, because you do not want to miss this next episode. And don't forget, live on purpose or not at all. Stay wild.